Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Indigo Communications. Welcome to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Alan Rough and Tam McManus are alongside me, Peter Martin. Delighted to have your company. Don't forget, on this show, if you want to join the football family, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll get all the latest notifications of our unique video content. You'll also get opinion, wee bit of banter, and of course we'll read out some of your messages, providing of course a sensible Roughie, because we like sensible fans.
Yeah, and the majority are sensible fans, but there is the odd one who spoil it for everybody else, as usual. But no, keep the good ones coming.
Yeah, absolutely. There you are. There speaks a man of experience. Over and above that, we always like to talk about football and what's on the agenda. Well, let's have a look at the fixtures over the course of last night and tonight. Dundee 3, Hibs 1. We'll talk about that in a moment. Then it's Dundee United Celtic with, of course, Ange Postecoglou's side just needing a point to win the title. Rangers against Ross County, and they've got big things on their mind with 2 cups to play for. It's St Mirren, Livingstone, St Johnstone, Aberdeen, and Motherwell against a Hearts side that obviously some of the players might think they have to put in a good performance for Robbie Neilson because the Scottish Cup final is on the horizon as well. You can give us your views on that. We'll talk about some of the emerging stories today in Scottish football and beyond as well. So, Roughie and Tam are here, and if you are going to sign off with a farewell goal in front of your home support, the team you've supported as a boy, the bold Charlie came up with it with the outside of his boot. What a goal, Roughie, last night.
It was fantastic. We all know he's got it in him. And I think the players around about him know he's got it in him. You know, I think he was obviously really upset at the weekend there with getting away that first goal, but I think that's made up for it a wee bit. And if he is going to sign off, what a better way to do it.
Perfect goal, wasn't it? I mean, I saw your text last night and I thought, oh, this must be an absolute cracker.
It was. Obviously I was working for Hibs TV, so I couldn't be too positive at the time. That was a killer blow, but no, it's a great goal. He came on as a sub the last half an hour, and Dundee were excellent second half. I thought they deserved to win. They were hungrier. They had something to play for, clearly. You know, they didn't want to lose and get relegated in front of their own supporters. And the ball just dropped beautifully to him, 25 yards outside of the foot, a little bit of fade on it, top corner, great goal. And he was quite emotional, you know, seeing the scenes after it. You know, it looks as if Dundee are going to get relegated, and that could possibly be his last game in front of the Dundee fans. But as you said, if it is, he's signed off with a cracking goal. So fair play to him. And I'd actually backed him for the first goal as well, for Hibs.
Yeah,
that never came in. But no,
or at least an assist.
He bounced back for last week's nightmare, but fair play to him.
Just on that point, you touched on it there. I mean, I think the general consensus is if you're a betting man, St Johnstone, are they going to lose 2 games and suddenly there's going to be a swing for Dundee? It would be the mother of all escapes.
Yeah, it would be, but I just don't see it happening. I think St Johnstone will get a point tonight against Aberdeen at home. Aberdeen, again, no much to play for. I think St Johnstone are hungry just to secure that point to make sure they're not bottom of the league. But you know, great for Mark McGee to finally get a win. I think that was 11 or 12 games without a win. They get the win, but it's too late for them. It's too late. They're going to get relegated.
You share that belief, Roughie?
Yeah, I mean, we look at Aberdeen. I don't think Aberdeen have got 3 goals in them away from home, you know, to tell you the truth. So it's a good bit of psychic from Mark, you know, to
psychology.
Put a wee bit of pressure on them. Or psychic. Or psychic.
No. The psychic is the person who obviously you talk to about these things, but the psychology is to try and work it out of people.
I know what you meant.
I know what you meant, Roughie.
I don't think they've got it in them. I think I'm like Tam. I think they'll get a draw. Yeah, I hope they don't. You know, I could make it a lot more exciting.
Yeah, well,
the weekend.
Can you imagine down to the last game and it comes down to goal difference, Roughie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, you know, what is it, 5 goals or something? It depends on which way the score lines go, but yeah, it'll be a nervous time for both of them.
Well, absolutely. I think when you get to a situation like that, you always actually look and say what might have been. Where was that performance 4 or 5 games ago?
Totally. I think the second half particularly, I thought Dundee were excellent. Hibs were poor. Listen, it's been a terrible season for Hibs. I think they've scored 10 goals in the last 17 games. You know, it's never been heard of. It's a terrible run that Hibs are on. Players had the flip-flops, I think, on last night to tell. They're ready for their holidays. I felt sorry for the supporters who turned up. Hibs supporters who travelled up. You know, it was a poor performance, and you know, 1 more game to go for Hibs, and they'll be dying to get rid of this season. They've got Player of the Year dance on Sunday, the Hibs. So I don't think there'll be a great atmosphere at that. So
here's everybody at the Player of the Year dance. Some who've been released. Is James Scott worthy of a new deal now after that goal?
No, but I mean he's working his backside off. He got his goal, deserved it last night. But again, too little, too late, I think, for James. But somebody might take a wee gamble on him next season. But he certainly wasn't the worst last night in the Hibs jersey.
Yeah. Stephen Boyle says Gordon Strachan having anything to do with selecting the new manager is a huge worry, Peter. He gave his mate the job and it's been, I think as Stephen says, an unmitigated disaster.
Charlie's not really spoke about it, but I think there's a wee chance, whatever road they get in, to look at Charlie's experience as a coach at Dundee.
Yeah.
I think it might come out of the blue. You never know. You don't know what way they're going to go down. It might be somebody that they need to bring through some of their young players in the lower division.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if he is asked. I know you're saying at this moment he's had enough and blah blah blah, he's all that. But it'd be interesting to see what happens if somebody does ask him the question.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to look at the detail, listen to the boys chat, and then assess. His family lives down in Lytham. And I think he's got a lot of people down south that may well look to him as a coach down there, and I think all roads lead down south, unless, and I'm not discounting it, Roughie, but it need to come right out of left field and it need to be really enticing.
Yeah, I think if Dundee offered them something, I think you'd obviously have to think about it, but I think you're spot on. I think he'll go back down the road, his family's there. Obviously circumstances, not driving, so he's playing trains and automobiles to get to places, so I think if he gets back down the road and near his family, it'd be more convenient for him.
And of course this will be the last time we see him on Friday, Roughie. You've been a fantastic taxi.
Yeah, I've been there at beck and call, that he wasn't too happy when I put the rate up.
No, it's metre and a half.
It's exactly.
From Cumbernauld.
Particularly when you're going to Glen Eagles.
Yeah.
That's even worse, but he's good company in a taxi.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, tell the truth. He's one of those. Charlie's one of those guys, by the way, that he's on the phone all the time. Yeah. One of those guys that you struggle to get a sentence in with him unless you've got something really exciting. That situation where you and I and all of us go out on a night out, and if there's not enough excitement, Roughie's looking elsewhere and then thinking, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
That feeling,
The reason I was, obviously I've been picking them up and dropping them off, and that was even I was laughing there was because you mentioned that. What's that film? Planes
and Automobiles.
Every time somebody mentions that, I think of the scene with John Candy where he falls asleep with the seatbelt. Yeah. Every time somebody mentions that, I think of that scene.
Absolutely. If you haven't seen the movie, then you had to be there.
Yeah.
Apart from anything else, Dundee get the win. Is there a great escape? If you're a Dundee fan watching the programme, let us know. What did you think of last night? Who would you like to see as the manager? Is there a place for Charlie as the coach? And don't forget to hit that subscribe button or download the app, and you can watch the programme live Monday to Friday. So Tannadice back at Dundee. This time it'll be hordes of Celtic fans, some of them actually putting on an accent, maybe some of them wearing tangerine and black scarves to get in to see if Celtic can get the point they need to win the title, Tam.
Yeah, it's a huge night for Celtic. I think they'll go up there and they'll seal it. Obviously it's all but finished, but I think mathematically it's still possible. But Celtic will win the league tonight, and it'll be a big celebration for them, and quite rightly so. I think a lot of people wrote them off at the start of the season, myself included. Didn't see this happening at all. I thought Rangers would have won the league and won the league comfortably, but Celtic have been very consistent since the turn of the year, and they've won the league deservedly. So the supporters will go up there celebrating, and as you said, I think there might be a few in Dundee United end as well. Yeah, absolutely. And as ever, when you've got such a big occasion as this, you like to send the top reporter out there to the city of discovery. It's the only way I can sum it up, because she's there already before anyone else. She's got her press pass, and you're looking forward to what should be an exciting game, Kerry, because I think most Celtic fans have got title celebrations in their mind.
Yep, definitely, Peter. I'm here before everybody else just to get this good spot in front of the stadium right now. A lot of Celtic fans coming here tonight, hoping that Celtic can get all 3 points, even though they only need the draw, but they don't seem like the type of team that will play for the point. They'll be going out and trying to get the win here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ange Postecoglou was talking to Kerry yesterday, and I think he's trying to keep his mind off all this title talk and how he's going to feel.
What's most important at the moment is that I help prepare this team for a game tomorrow that potentially could make us champions. And once that happens, I think you'll get a sort of a better feeling of what it'll mean to me on a personal level, as much as I can sort of reveal on that front in terms of how I'll personally feel. But to think about it beforehand and the task we've had, it's like anything else, I guess. Until you reach the summit, you don't want to think how you're going to feel when you're there.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, Kerry, that quite a lot of people were looking at Ange Postecoglou's start for Celtic way back in August and thinking he might not last to December. I think Ange Postecoglou mentioned when he picked up both managers of the year that quite a lot of people had put money on him getting sacked by Christmas.
Yep, when he was winning those awards, he did say that was the one he was most favourite for, was to lose his job by Christmas. But I think it's right in saying that he has exceeded a lot of expectations this year. It didn't go the way he planned at the start of the season for Celtic, but he's got this Celtic team exactly how he wants them.
Yeah, absolutely, and they are playing well. And again, as Kerry mentioned there, he's stuck to his guns, Tam. He's got a focus. This is the way he wants his side to play, and you'll play that way. And if Plan A doesn't work, do Plan A better.
Yeah, no, he stuck to his guns. I said it was very easy for Ange Postecoglou to change it up. You go a little bit more negative and just try and win a game, scrappy games. Make games a battle, but. He had a belief, he's got a belief, and that's the way he plays. He's never going to change that. And win, lose or draw, he'll try and get a top performance from his players the way he wants to play, and he'll believe that 9 times out of 10 if Celtic play well, they will win the game, and it's all about performance for him. If Celtic get the performance, then they'll get the win, and that's the way he sees football.
Yeah, Kerry, tickets scarce. People have been trying by hook or by crook to get in there, even into the Dundee United end. Please, if you can, avoid selling your press pass.
I will try my absolute best not to sell my press pass. But I'll be in there from 7:45 tonight watching the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think from a Dundee United perspective, Kerry, I don't think they want to just be there to make up the numbers. They might want to put a little spanner in the works.
No, not at all. They'll be aware of Celtic's situation. They'll aware that Celtic only need the point, but I don't think that they'll sit back. I don't think they'll lie down to Celtic. I think they'll push forward, they'll challenge Celtic, and it'll be a good game here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Kerry's up there for us, watching Dundee United against Celtic. She'll get the thoughts of the Celtic manager, a few of the players, and again, it's an unusual situation, but they're that used to seeing Scott Brown lift the trophy, but when tonight's over and Celtic, if they are indeed champions, it'll be Callum McGregor who for me has been the best midfielder in Scotland, if not the best, then certainly one of the best. I'm sure that'll ignite a few people who will offer somebody else as a suggestion.
No, it's going to be a tremendous night for a young man who started off as a ball boy and now he's the captain of Celtic, and he's got the chance to lift a trophy, which will be absolutely incredible for him and his family, to come through all the ranks and then achieve what he's going to achieve. It's a fantastic night. And at the beginning of the season, nobody was talking about what Rangers or Celtic were going to do in Europe. The be-all and end-all was winning the league and that money that goes with it to get into the European scene. So if they do win it, that is their objective, the big objective at the beginning of the season, and it looks as if they're going to achieve it.
It could actually be an unbelievable season. Rangers, if they win the Europa League and Celtic win the league, both sets of Old Firm fans are absolutely thrilled with their season, and one of them has not won the league. Yeah, probably the first time it's probably ever been heard of. Both sets of supporters are absolutely buzzing with their own season.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Kerry Pollock, who's up there as our reporter for that match. Quite a lot of people have said this. Robert Robertson says, "Hey Peter, Ange's way of playing doesn't work in Europe." Well, if he's got a job that he's surpassed winning the title, Roughie, the next job he has to work out is signing players that can actually play in European football and maybe try and replicate what Rangers are doing.
Yeah, I think a lot of Celtic fans will really hope that is the case. Nobody wants to go into the group stages and by the end of 5-0, 6-0. I think Celtic have done that. I think they've got to move on. They've got to give their supporters something to hang on to. That third place, would be an objective, depending on what pot they're in, and who they're getting drawn against. But certainly, you don't want to have that year that they had, that they were getting hammered. So it'll be interesting to see the signings that he brings in. Yeah,
and on that point that Roughie's making there, I actually think a few, as ever with every club, they'll start looking to shed players that are not really feature or don't play the way that he sees his future sides playing. They don't particularly match that kind of a high press, high intensity. And the other aspect of this that I think Ange Postecoglou will be looking for, I think, is maybe 3 or 4 players who can take the team to another level. Because if you look at Rangers, Tam, okay, they slipped up at a crucial period in the league, but they've got players that know how to play European football.
No, they have. I think they've been proven over the last 3 or 4 seasons. Rangers have been excellent in Europe. They've got a certain way of playing that suits European football. They're very difficult to beat and break down. You know, they've got a system when they've not got the ball, and when they've got the ball, they try and hit teams on the counter-attack. And talking about Celtic again, I can see guys like Scales, Welsh, Beaton, McCarthy, Ajeti. There's 5 for me that I don't think have got a future at Celtic. Barkas, 6. If you can get rid of these 6 and you can bring in 4 or 5, even 3 or 4 of really good quality, then all of a sudden you've got real strength and depth. You know, because there's guys at Celtic, you know, they're not good enough to play every week. They're not good enough to certainly play at the Champions League level. So I think Celtic have got to be looking to get 5 or 6 of the fringe players out, and even bring in 3 or 4 players that are going to start for a starting jersey in 11, not just squad fillers, but guys that you think will get in the starting 11.
Yeah, and DPG says, Peter, the Celtic team that competed in the qualifiers is unrecognisable from the team that will play tonight and try to win the league, and I think he's got a great point.
Yeah, I saw a team getting fired up somewhere, and I think there was only 2 players that were in that original side that are there now. And it just shows you the transformation, and if that transformation again improves the quality of the side, I'm sure the supporters will be more than happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can give us your view on that. Kerry, I think, will be inside that ground earlier because somebody's worried about her. Roughie, they said, by the way, it's a 7:30 kick-off, so I hope she's not gone for a pie just about 7:30 because that's when it kicks off. Dundee United against Celtic. By the time all the other games, they'll be underway, so Celtic actually could win this title before the other games are finished. All they need is a point. Are they going to get it? Will they win it? What's your overview, if you're a Celtic fan, on how they've performed and this team? Who would you like to see? What type of players and what positions would you like to see in there, and what players do you think will be heading out the door? Tam's named a few of them. Do you agree with them? And don't forget, you can hit the subscribe button and join our football family. It's getting bigger and bigger, Roughie. More and more people now discovering we're on YouTube. It's been an interesting little jolt for us, switching completely to YouTube, but the amount of people that are following us, and we're out and about, Tam's out and about now, people mentioning that they love the show. Yeah, more and more, and far and wide as well. I told you about the boy up in Inverness, when we were up in Inverness. You know, he watches at 4 o'clock regularly. Yep. And I think that's the case. You know, when everybody has got the chance to get it on, whether it's at work or whether in the house or whatever, and I think we're supplying good stuff. Yeah, do you?
I'm speaking for the show. My Auntie Margaret's 70 next week, and she's a big fan of the show. She may be tuning in just now, my Auntie Margaret, and she's a huge fan of Roughie. Yeah. So she's looking for something from Roughie. Yeah, I think that
message. Is it her birthday?
It's her birthday. If you
Margaret,
do your usual, that can.
Margaret, I'd like to wish you all the best on your birthday. I'm sure you'll have a fantastic day, and I'm sure Tam's bought you something really exciting for your birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you are. There's no point in me doing it because you're that age range. You know, we have such a huge spread, Tam, of different ages to appeal to everybody. And Roughie, clearly the housewife's favourite. I like the fact that over the course of our move to YouTube, that we've managed to get a Hibs fan in Vietnam, of all places. You know, people watching it in the bar, people in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America. It's been great.
It'd be great to take the show on the road, wouldn't it, and go to all these places.
To Vietnam? Yeah, good. We'll do a link with you. Tell us what it's like, will you?
Oh, I'd love to go to Vietnam.
Yeah, so would we love you to go to Vietnam. Anyway, thanks very much for your support. We really do appreciate it. As far as the other matches, well, listen, this is the last home game for Rangers, so I think Rangers fans will be heading there, Roughie. Huge cheers, and a number of people will be going into that stadium and turning around to their mates and anybody else that they think might be their mate and saying, is there any chance you can get me a ticket? Because they are using every form of transportation to get there.
Yeah. I think there's no chance of getting a ticket now.
At all?
At all. No, I think you just want to be there. I think the objective now is getting a route to get yourself in the vicinity for 2 or 3 days before the game and sample everything that's there. I think the Rangers supporters who are in Manchester will have fantastic memories. Celtic fans in Seville have fantastic memories. So for me, it's about the Rangers supporters getting there and just sampling everything that goes with it.
See, there was 100,000 ticket applications from the Frankfurt fans as well.
Yeah.
I mean, this is it's going to be mental in Seville.
I think if you're a real fan, a real Rangers fan, and you're going there and you know you haven't got a ticket, I think the immediate thing that you have to think of is, okay, I might be lucky, there might be someone there who gets me a ticket, but the other thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to actually get to a situation where you're going there, putting yourself in debt, trying to get there, and then, you're spending the whole summer, paying off that debt. What you do is you get over there, you work out if your mate's got a room at a hotel, and then you all steam in there. You steam in there, and then you hope by hook or by crook, someone somewhere has a ticket, and your whole life's transformed, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, those tickets will be gold. They'll still be getting, sold for fortunes. And unfortunately, the normal Ranger supporter will probably be priced out of buying a ticket, which is a sad thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting to find out how the 9,500 got the tickets. How they distributed that, because that
UEFA, was it?
That'd be the Rangers. When Rangers got their tickets, which Rangers supporters got the 9,500?
Maybe a ballot.
It's definitely a ballot.
It's a different,
points,
difficult one. You don't want to upset people. You don't want to.
At least maybe points at people who have travelled to away games and stuff like that.
I think they would have got priority.
Yeah.
I remember, in previous times, 2008, 2003. If you're going regularly to European games, home and away, I think you've got to be. You should be top of the list.
Think so, yeah.
Here's a nice one from Bob the Legend, who says, Peter, my route is Abu Dhabi to Madrid and then a taxi to Seville. Now that tells me that Bob is minted.
That's some taxi.
No, I was just about to say, Bob's the type of guy that we want to hang about with in Abu Dhabi. You know what I mean?
I'm sure all his mates will want to hang about with him as well. Piling into it.
That's fantastic, Bob. Thanks for that message. Brilliant. I love that taxi. I don't even think, if you're getting a taxi to Seville from Madrid, I don't even think you're looking to see it going round.
No,
I think it's just
too much
money.
money.
You get too much money, You
just agree a price before and just give them, turn the meter and a half as your 5,000
Absolutely.
euros.
I just wonder if I'm being too tight, Roughie. After the football writers do on Sunday, when the taxi picked me up, and this is a guy who's a mate of mine, but when the taxi picked me up and I'm on the motorway, I see the dreaded 3 X's on the sign up above. And it's taking me off. And I'm on a mazy, and then you really start to sweat, don't you? Because you're just thinking, this is going to cost me a fortune to go home.
Yeah, but fortunately, if it's your mate, he's not going to bump you.
Oh no, he belted me. no, there's mates and there's mates. He absolutely hammered me for it.
Well, I was fortunate enough the 3 X's were on the right hand side.
Yes,
and I was okay going on the left.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about you, Roughie. So what does he do, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, tonight? Does he rest some players, or does he just keep the machine running?
I don't think you can. I think he rested a few at the weekend there, but I think you've got to. People need games in their legs to stay sharp. I think Ryan Kent was rested at the week. I think he'll play. I think maybe the 4 or 5 that were on the bench will come in. I think it'll be a mix and match. He'll try and give people an hour maybe. Yeah. And other players half an hour. But you can't rest everybody until next Wednesday. You've got to try and get some minutes into their legs and just trust that they don't get themselves injured.
Yeah, by the way, Martin Torrance, thanks Martin for this. He says, Tam McManus is right. It is a point system through my Gers.
Yeah.
Which is fair, Roughie, isn't it?
Well, it's the same as the Tartan Army. I think that's the Tartan Army travel abroad. I think they get the first shout and anything that comes up, and it's a proper way to do it.
That is a few of my mates are Rangers fans, and they're in the my Gers system.
Yeah.
When you buy tickets, you buy merchandise, you get points and all that. So it's good that these guys are top of the list and getting tickets. Yeah,
Bob says, Peter, my 78-year-old mother will join me in Seville with my niece, nephew and other brother, which is absolutely fantastic. And because Bob's getting a taxi, he'll obviously be paying for him to get over there too, because he's minted.
It's a beautiful place, And
fantastic.
I think Hugh touched on it, particularly down at the riverside, the restaurants that are down there, and it'll just be fantastic.
Did you play there, Roughie, Seville? For Scotland?
Don't start again, by the way.
I don't know where it was.
Honestly,
in Seville. It was in Seville somewhere.
He doesn't know. And then
against Spain?
No, we had to look it up, and it's eventually he was in the Real Betis Stadium.
Oh,
but he said it was up in the mountains and it was hot. It's a
Who was the score?
That was the Brazil game. We got beat 4-1. We
4-1.
did play.
Spain 82.
Oh, here I did. There was another time I played against Spain.
Yeah.
And I think that might have been in Seville as well when they were louting oranges onto the park for the fall of the first. That must have been in Seville as well.
Yeah, it would have been.
We get beat 3-0.
Famous for its oranges.
Yeah. Don't know where that was. Somewhere in Seville.
4-1. Fantastic. Can you remember who scored past you?
Yes.
Go on then.
Zico.
Right.
Edar.
Yep. And that's about it.
No, Socrates. His shot came off the post and went in.
Yep. Did Falcao?
Header. Falcao.
Was it Falcao?
Header,
yeah.
Defence was pure picking up, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I must.
Pick up runners.
I must mention that to Dave Neary when I see him. Absolutely. Just out of curiosity, I don't want to deflect away from the game tonight, but when Dave Neary scored, I always like to ask, when Dave Neary scored for Scotland against Brazil, it's a belter of a shot into the roof of the net. Did you think, oof, we've got them?
Yeah, I think so. You've got to.
Yeah.
You've got to. But at that time, they were just walking about. They were just walking about. I hadn't seen any of them running.
Yeah.
No, they were just sort of keeping pace. And while they were walking about, our boys, the sweat was bucketing off them. I remember looking at Graham Souness and his whole jersey was absolutely soaked.
Yeah.
That was in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They're just walking about. They even broke sweat.
Oh, fantastic.
Then you got the man Graham and he scored.
Yeah. It's a great line from Souness after it, isn't it? I think we annoyed them. Anyway, as far as the game tonight then, Rangers against Ross County. I mean, we've all given our predictions because the predictor table's looking healthy. So, Roughie, do you agree with them? Do you think it's just a case of maybe rest one or two key players?
Yeah, well, behind the scenes there will be players having a wee niggly injury, and then they've got to assess, do we take a chance on that or not? I think you'll see a couple of the young boys that come on maybe starting the game. I think fans always love to see the youth coming through, and you could see when was the 3 of them come on at the weekend, wasn't it? You could see the lift that the whole fans got. So I think a couple of them, or even one of them, might be in the starting lineup.
Yeah, well, I'm delighted Alec Lowry's staying, because when you see talent just coming through in little glimpses, and you think, go on, son, stay in Scotland, get yourself 50 to 100 games, and then Rangers might reap the rewards later down the line.
Yeah, obviously I know Alec well. He was down at Braidhurst where I coach with the SFA Performance School, so I've known him for a number of years.
What's he like as a boy?
Great lad, very laid back, very off the cuff as a player. And I spoke to Ross Wilson a wee while about him, and he said his ability's not in question, but he's doing too many mad things on the pitch. I think he tried a pass back for like 80 yards back to the goalkeeper and all that. I don't think he had to kind of polish his game up a little bit and tidy it up, those parts of it, but I think since Van Bronckhorst has come in, he's trusted him and he's gave him opportunities, and I think his ability is unbelievable. Did you see that at Braidhurst?
I
seen it every day. I seen it every day when I was there. I knew he was going to make it. The only concern for me was he was a wee bit off the ball, not working hard enough, and on the ball he was amazing. But I think he sorted that out. He knows off the ball he's got to work hard to stay in the team, and if he works hard off the ball, then he's a complete player, and he's going to be a Scotland international for sure. Yeah, okay. Good luck to Alec. Let's hope he gets a lot of game time in the games that are left. I don't think he'll get a sniff of the starting lineup for the game in Seville, but nevertheless, just to say you're there watching it. And the one thing about it, I think, as we get closer to it, Roughie, there's a chance for people to just etch themselves into history. Mm-hmm. Yep, I think we spoke to Barry, about the last time we was in it, and they were all disappointed the way you have memories of them after the final whistle, them all sitting on the grass and all just sitting there and dejected. It's a horrible, horrible feeling, you get beat in a final when you've came so far and you beat quality sides, and then you get in there and you just want to win it for everybody concerned, with the club, not just the players, but the backroom staff, obviously the manager, and more importantly the fans. To get to a final, it's nobody appreciates a runner-up. And you know what? And I go back to the tennis. If you really don't want to be a loser, don't be a loser at tennis. If you look at the tennis player who gets, I'm going on a tangent here. If you look at the tennis player who gets beat at Wimbledon in the final and he's sitting in a chair, nobody gives a toss who he is. Yeah, okay. So you don't want to lose
Oh yeah, thanks for that, Roughie. So anyway, nobody. Roughie's just throwing in sweary words now into the pro. He doesn't care. I get where you're coming from on that as well. I can remember actually playing in a five-a-side tournament in Edinburgh, Roughie, with that very point that you made, and I stood up to collect the winning trophy with all my teammates and said to the losing team, who were slightly miffed, that we beat them because we were all from Glasgow, and I said, just remember, guys, nobody remembers runners-up, and I think there was nearly a full scaler. And I don't think we took the trophy home because it was in bits.
You're talking to a certified loser here because I played in 4 cup finals and lost every one of them.
Yeah. Do you still have the medals, Tam?
Yeah, I've got 4 loser medals, aye.
Do you not look at the point of the achievement of getting there, no? No, okay then. Don't forget, those medals will be coming up at an auction sooner or later. It's a Stonewall certainty. Once the wife demands the house is paid off, they'll be up for auction. Anyway, what about St Johnstone? Because we talked about Dundee Hibs, and Dundee, okay, they're making it a wee bit interesting, but St Johnstone, Tam, you think they'll get a point? They're against an Aberdeen side that, honestly, it's just been it's a season from hell, Roughie.
It is, and I think we all know how important it is to have a Premier League with a good Aberdeen side, a good Hibs side, a good Hearts side. We need the 3 of them. They're the 3 big ones, so we need them to challenge Rangers and Celtic. And if that's not happening, they have. Tam saw Hibs this year and Aberdeen as well. I've never ever seen 2 such poor sides in a long, long time. Yeah,
absolutely. Of course, Jim Goodwin's want to talk about some of the positives, one of them being his goalkeeper, Joe Lewis.
Without him, we wouldn't have picked up the 4 points that we did. We were very lucky in the opening 20 minutes against Dundee in the last home game, and there at the weekend, he makes 2 really good saves. His first one was a brilliant save tipped around the post in the first half, and the second one, very, very brave to get out the way he did and narrow the angle. So, Joe he has had a disappointing season. He admits that himself. He doesn't need anybody to tell him that, but he's big enough and strong enough and experienced enough to know that, these things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Joe Lewis might have a future. Not sure, because he's been fairly ruthless, hasn't he? Even with fans who maybe were looking at Andrew Considine with a bit of sentimentality, he'll be out the door.
Yeah, it will be. I was obviously at the game on Saturday. Hibs against Aberdeen last week, and they were singing his name for the whole game, Andy Considine. And I think he put him on late on in the game, but I don't think he'll be there next season. I think he said in the press after the game that he was only playing people that were under contract and were going to be there next season. So, listen, these big decisions. You need to make big decisions as a manager. He's getting rid of a big fan's favourite, Andrew Considine. So, where that works out from, I don't know, but he'll need to get after a good start next season, I think.
Yeah, St Johnstone, a point's enough, and I think Callum Davison is just calling on his players to realise the enormity of just getting that point.
They've actually watched them play. They've actually played good football. They try and pass it. We've got to be really good defensively, but then going forward, we've got to be positive. Got to go and try and score. Got to try and get shots, balls in the box, and create pressure. That gives momentum and gives the fans something to build on. And hopefully we can do that and get a positive result tomorrow night.
Yeah, so if they get that positive result, Callum Davis, I think, will just go, put it behind him and think, okay, can we get back to near to what we were achieving last season?
No, I don't think they'll ever get back to there. I think they lost too many important players at the beginning, by selling them and taking the money. They have picked up a wee bit. They're getting draws here and there. I do think they'll get a draw tonight and make themselves safe, but I still wouldn't be taking that big sigh of relief, because I think Inverness or Arbroath will be equal to them over 2 legs.
Yeah, did you watch the game last night, Roughie?
Yeah, I did. Did
you watch that game?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I was interested in it, and I said yesterday, and I'm not just because we played them. I mean, when we played them, we gave them 3 goals. I think the 3 goals. So I didn't think there were many goals in it.
Yeah.
And that was the case. I don't think there was many goal-mouth chances. So it's all for Arbroath now. I wouldn't like to go to Arbroath and Guildford's win and try to get a win there. So
yeah, I think that the best opportunity for one of the teams is for Arbroath to win that. No disrespect for Inverness. I think it would be very difficult for Inverness to get through this tie and then go into game 5 and game 6 against St Johnstone. Arbroath have been rested, they've been playing 2 games less, so even if Inverness sneak through this, I think St Johnstone will be overwhelming favourites to beat them.
Yeah, I watched the start of it, and I had that feeling of this game was going to be a little bit, bitty, and it proved to be stuffy as well. Where nobody really wanted to come out, be expansive, give away too many chances. And of course then I thought to myself, it's Aston Villa against Liverpool. I'll watch the highlights of Inverness later.
Yeah, it was always going to be a tight game, as Roughie says. There's not much between the teams all season. I think they've had a couple of wins each or whatever, so I wouldn't expect anything less up at Arbroath. I think Arbroath maybe slight favourites now at home to go and beat Inverness, but I think it's a toss of the coin one. But regardless, I think St Johnstone will be too strong for either of the teams in the playoff final.
What about Motherwell Hearts, Roughie? The Jambos, how do you approach this? Because you've got guys who are thinking, I can't get in for a hefty challenge, I want to play in the cup final.
Well, it's the same as the Rangers situation. This is when the manager earns his corn. He's got to identify players who really want to play and might not get injured, and somebody who is carrying something, you don't play them, But for me, Motherwell need to win this. They can't go to Parkhead at the weekend and expect to win there to get into Europe. So this has to be a Motherwell win for me.
Yeah.
And I can't see it. They're okay. They got a good result there at the weekend, but I can't see them doing it. I think Hearts will be good enough to get something out of that game. Yeah,
if you're a Motherwell fan, I think you're just caught in this whole dilemma of, is there a terrible second half to the season? What's Graham Alexander going to do in the summer? I think they're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea in their opinion on the manager.
Yeah, I think up until that win at the weekend against Ross County, there's been a lot of Motherwell fans would have probably wanted him out the door, but I think that win just breathes new life into them, possibly getting into a European place. But regardless of it, I think he's got to strengthen in the summer. And the inconsistency of every single team out with the Old Firm and Hearts has been incredible. You look at Ross County, Motherwell, Dundee United, they've lost tons of games. They've went in bad runs and they're still in the shake-up for Europe. So there's been no consistency whatsoever out with the top three in the league.
Yeah.
Everybody's been beating each other, and somebody will fall into a European place, to be honest.
Yeah, the one thing you can't do in this show for some people, and I'm going to read it out, the one thing you can't do for some people is tell them the truth on everything. And this is Bill, who says, Peter, the host of a Scottish football show, chooses the EPL over a Premiership playoff. He's a total fraud. Thanks for that, Bill. That's absolutely fantastic.
I totally agree with that, Bill, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I'm disappointed they watched Liverpool.
Absolutely. There are certain games where you give and take on it, Roughie.
The league's done anyway. You're still clinging on to non-existent hope.
That Liverpool will win it, yeah, no. Absolutely. I make no bones about it. I watched the highlights of it and it panned out exactly the way I thought it was going to pan out. So, Bill, I'm sorry for being honest. Am I sorry for watching Liverpool? No.
Well, that's your opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Disappointing.
Absolutely. Do we have to take it on the chin every now and then? Yes, we do. So there you are. Who cares? Apart from anything else, St Johnstone against Aberdeen, Motherwell against Hearts, St Mirren Livingstone. Does that float your boat?
No, I think Livy have had their season. They were playing really good football, but I think the season just came as it usually does with some teams. It just peters out. I think the St Mirren manager will be hoping he can get a win, to just keep the fans on board. But all the teams we're talking about have to be just rip everything up and start again, and that's the good thing for the supporters, because they'll all be anticipating what kind of player are we going to get, who's coming in, and all these teams are going to be. And next, I said the other day there, over the next coming days and weeks, the papers will be announcing players that have been released at clubs. And I think you're going to see a lot of players, 12 possibly, a lot of clubs, maybe even more than that.
Yeah. I always think this is the most painful time, because people think it's a glamorous life being a footballer. You know it better than anyone, Tam. In the summer, a lot of players with their wives and their families look and they say to themselves, well, we're not earning fortunes and we know we're going to be released. And then you start to think to yourself, especially if you're the wrong end of the 20s and the 30s, you're thinking, where am I going?
Yeah, I think it's a really difficult time for footballers. Listen, Scottish football, there's no players on life-changing money. Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen, yeah, you won decent money, but the further you go down in the Premier League and in the Championship, if you're getting released in May, it might be another 3 or 4 months before you get a wage, and that's a tough time for anybody. And you're sitting waiting by the phone, you've got to go out and train yourself and keep yourself ticking over, that phone never rings, and you've got mentally. I think it's tough. I've went through that myself in my career when I've been released for teams and you're sitting waiting for the phone to ring. You're going to get in trial with somebody. You're desperate to get a wage. You know, you're only in a lot of money, so it's going to be a tough time for a lot of football players in Scottish football. But it's the same every year. You know, it's something that's got to be put in place, maybe with the Scottish PFA, that these guys get support and stuff. So difficult, but you've got to keep the head up, keep training hard, and hopefully the phone rings and you get yourself a club. But it's a tough time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, before we talk about some of the stories that are doing the rounds, today on this day, roughly 39 years ago, what are you rolling in? 39 years ago, 1983. 1983.
I was 2.
You were 2. Were you? 2?
Yeah.
Wow.
I just signed for Hibs.
I was just about to leave high school.
Hibs.
31.
31, 32.
Yeah. The other thing about it I was going to say to you is there was a man talking about it at the Football Writers Awards ceremony on Sunday.
It's something to do with Notts Forest.
Nothing to do with Nottingham Forest. It's Aberdeen won the European Cup Winners' Cup. Gothenburg.
Yes.
This very day, 39 years ago, that side produced something magical. And this is the team, Roughie. If you want to have a look and see what you make of it all, Leighton in goal, Roughie, McLeish, Miller and McMaster, Cooper, Strachan, Simpson and Weir, Black and McGee, and of course Eric Black scored the first goal, but the winner was scored by substitute John Hewitt. And I thought it was great because Stuart Kennedy was on the bench, who picked up a European Cup Winners' Cup winning medal, because I think Alex Ferguson, if people think he was hard at times and unforgiving, Stuart Kennedy would never play football again. And I think because of his injury, Fergie said, no, you've contributed everything to this side, you're on the bench.
Stuart Kennedy was a wonderful fullback. He played for Scotland, played in the first game in Argentina.
Yeah.
No, he played against Holland as well.
Good patter, isn't he?
Yeah, great.
His
His favourite catchphrase is a nightmare. That's
that
what
right?
he used to say. It's a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. This is a nightmare. That's a nightmare. But no, that's a quality side, and everybody goes, the only reason they won is because of the conditions. You know, they couldn't handle conditions, Aberdeen, but they did. They played a fantastic side, and they won on the night. So, you know, that team were at the top notch, even in Scottish football. Yeah,
absolutely. And by the way, they were able to defeat a Real Madrid side that had the likes of Stilica and Juanito, really good top drawer players. It wasn't one of those, and it was managed by Alfredo Di Stefano. It wasn't a side that was going through a transition. This was a good Real Madrid side, Tam, and that Aberdeen team, rightly so, they are legends. But if you look at that side, Weir was fantastic, Gordon Strachan magnificent, Miller and McLeish at the back phenomenal, and I just thought Eric Black was unbelievable as a player. He could, Roughie, he could hang in there, couldn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, he was such a good player, wasn't he?
Yeah, if you obviously Weir put any delivery into the box and it was a quality delivery, you're right, he did hang in there. He seemed to get up higher than everybody else, and unfortunately we had him on the show. I think it was a bad back he had, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He had to retire, and far too early, because if he was just hitting the Scottish team then, and I think he'd have been scoring a few goals for us if he'd been fit.
And he's also a top coach, Eric Black, and a great person. And it'd be remiss of me not to mention one of my favourite players in that Aberdeen side. I mean, Strachan was my all-time favourite in that side, but Mark McGee was a brilliant player at
It must have been great. Obviously, I was only 2-year-old, but it must have been great for Scottish football back then to have
Dundee
United, Aberdeen, Dundee United beating Barcelona, getting to the latter stages of the European Cup, Aberdeen winning the Cup Winners' Cup. It must have been fantastic to have teams competing, to win the league as well. Because since I remember, it's always been Celtic and Rangers, bar when Mark Catley scored the header. That was the only time I can remember Aberdeen being up there challenging. When was that? When would that have been?
That was 1990.
That's the only time I can remember in my lifetime a team out with Celtic and Rangers having a sniff of winning the league. And must have been great back then for Dundee United, Aberdeen to be competing with Celtic and Rangers.
Alex Smith was the manager. I think it was
right. Michael Watt was the goalkeeper.
Was it 92 or 93?
I don't know what day. It was a young boy get thrown in there.
Yeah,
Michael Watt.
And Hateley was magnificent.
Yeah.
Fantastic side. Kev says John Hewitt was the ultimate super sub. He was actually a really good player, but when you can come on and make that much of a difference. And Ian Docherty says, I think it was Mark McGee that crossed the ball for John Hewitt to score. It was indeed. So a fantastic team, and that's 39 years ago. Next year, I think, will be very special for everyone up at Pittodrie and around that area. They'll be wanting to get as many bits of memorabilia signed by the legends. Just a great pity, I have to say, that Neil Cooper is not there with them, because when you speak to any of that Gothenburg side, they always talk about Neil taken way too soon, to be honest with you. Thanks very much to lots of people who obviously want to contribute and talk about these things. Stephen says, my old man says Willie Miller was brilliant. He was a fantastic player, Roughie, and an even better referee, because...
Yeah, he certainly was. I think if you get a chance to see any clips, they seem to be even better when he was down in Glasgow. He used to go to Celtic and Rangers, you could see, any decisions, he was right up in the referee and, giving it what.
Another thing I've noticed, by the way, is the fact that so many people, it's a pub argument, I've seen it on social media, we've had a couple of people mention it on here, but I don't want to get into it too much, Tam, but they're talking about achievements. Rangers' achievement of getting to the Europa League Final is far greater than what Celtic achieved in winning the European Cup in 1967. Now, you don't need to answer it if you don't want to, because you're such a young lad, but by the way... If you've had a few pints with your mates, that's a full scaler in a pub, isn't it?
It definitely is. I mean, obviously, I wasn't even born when Celtic won it, but Celtic won the European Cup for me with that team, all based in Glasgow. But the argument I think I heard the other night was somebody was saying Celtic only played 4 or 5 games to win it, or something like that. So I think that's the argument for the Rangers end. They'll say, well, we played qualifiers, we played group stages, and then we had knockout games. So they played far more games to get to the final. Plus, I think that the financial disparity between the teams now is far bigger than it was back then, maybe with Celtic and Inter Milan, I don't know. So it's a great argument, and you can see both sides of it, but for me, I don't think the Lisbon Lions and Celtic European will ever be surpassing Scottish football.
Yeah, it's a good argument, isn't it, Roughie? I mean, I think I think that Celtic side, I think going through, as Tam said, they didn't play a lot of games, but in one of the games they played a country.
Mm-hmm. Which country would that have been?
Yugoslavia.
Yeah.
Because the best players in Yugoslavia were in the army, and they all played for Vojvodina.
Yeah, I mean, there's arguments for and arguments against. The one I would say is the Celtic team were all Scottish lads. There was nobody from any other country. There was nobody brought in, no foreign players, put it that way.
Yeah.
And they were just home-based guys, who all, as we know now, all got together and went all the way. But you can have arguments for and arguments against, but it's a European
I think we should celebrate everybody getting there.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We all hope we see the Rangers captain lifting that cup, the same as Billy McNeil lifted it, and same as John Gregg lifted it. That's what we want. Yeah, absolutely. And really good players as well. The one thing I would say is I think that of the teams that have won something, I think they've at least had, if not a world-class player, certainly top drawer players in their side that you think, if he could walk into any team. Do you follow me? Mm-hmm. Bertie Auld, when he was in here on our show on a number of occasions, said Celtic had 3 world-class players in the winning side of 67. Jimmy Johnstone, Bobby Murdoch, Tommy Gemmell. And I couldn't disagree with him. I think Sandy Jardine could have walked into any team in 72 in their Cup Winners' Cup side because he was absolutely top drawer. And I maybe I'm biased because I worked with him for such a long time, but I thought DJ could play centre half, midfield, and up front as a striker. I mean, he played, I think, a good few years as a centre half for Rangers. That's how good he was. I'd probably personally preferred he was centre half. Is that right? Yeah, because he wouldn't have been centre forward and getting Davy Cooper's crosses coming into the box. That's brilliant, okay. Anyway, thanks to lots of people who mentioned players and teams as well. It's a great one. And Michael Crooks, I think, is right to mention this one, which Derek Johnson mentioned to me on so many occasions when we used to sit in the Radio Clyde Sports Desk and have great banter. Michael says Dave Smith was a brilliant player, and I
can't disagree with you, Michael. Dave Smith, Derek Johnson used to say, Dave Smith talked him through games and says, you win the header. If you don't win the header, I'll mop up behind you. How good a player is that when you've got somebody like that, Tam, eh?
Oh, that's what it's all about. He's probably an experienced player, and when you're a young player coming through, and I was the same playing with Hibs, playing with guys like Mixu Patalainen, who had 100 caps for Finland, and Craig Brewster, and guys like that who had great careers, and they would just talk to you, listen, don't run in every man, stay here. I'll hold the ball up and whatever, and it's great to have guys like that, good professionals, to talk you through the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to so many people there mentioning these topics. Always a good pub argument. The only thing missing here is we don't have beer, Roughie, or indeed a wee gin chaser for yourself, which is the norm. Anyway, Scott Brown, close to Fleetwood Town as the manager. I think I might have a wee word with him tomorrow and see how that's looking.
Yeah, but listen, I knew he was in talks with several clubs about my manager. Mentioned it the other day. I thought he would have stayed here, but I think the Fleetwood Town job is probably a better opportunity for him than any of the clubs here that he was talking to. So if that does come to fruition, it's a wonderful opportunity for him to go to England League One for his first job, and you'd wish him all the best. I think they just stayed up this season in that league. They struggled this year, but I've actually been down to Fleetwood. They've got a fantastic setup and training ground and all that, so it's a great club for him to go to start off, if it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to start somewhere, Roughie, and this is, I always think there's a great dilemma, from being in the dressing room to suddenly you're delivering, this is how we're going to play, and then you realise that there are certain players who can't play the way you played,
No, but that's what makes a good manager. That's what makes a good young manager who can, determine that right away, early in his career, and I think it's a good move for him to get away from Scotland, and go down there. I mean, everybody will know who he is anyway down there, but I think there's less pressure on him down there than there would be here.
Yeah, good luck to him if he does indeed get that job. We always like to see, I don't know about you, Tam, I've always been, I know Roughie's like this as well, when you see any Scottish player or manager going down south or anywhere, you want them to do well, and you start to follow those clubs and think about, how they're getting on. When Billy Gilmour goes down to Chelsea, we're all willing him to get a game, to get regular football. Paul Lambert goes down and cuts his teeth down there.
No, you do. You want to see them doing well, because they don't look too kindly at football up here. English football, and they think it's a bit of a pub league up here, which is unacceptable for me. But when players go down there and managers, you want them to do well. You want them to show Scottish football in a better light than they see it down the road. So, especially when you're friends with someone and you know someone, they're a good person, good lad, you really want them to do well as well. So, if Bruni goes down there, it's a great opportunity. I think Stephen Craney, the ex-Celtic player, was the caretaker manager towards the end of the season. He's taken under 23, so I think they've a big Celtic connection down there if he does go.
Yeah, okay. Last little point. Everybody and their granny's now been linked with this job at Hibs. Are you in the running now? Because we've got former Sunderland boss Lee Johnson in there, Carl Robinson, Michael Appleton, you name it. They're all in there. Any sniffs?
No, I've not heard much. The one I'd heard was Derek McInnes, but I don't think that's going to happen. So, listen, I don't know which way Hibs are going to go down, but whoever they get in as a manager, they've got to give him time. They've got to have patience. They can't fire him at the first sign of distress. And poor results. You've got to give someone, in my opinion, I've said it consistently in this show, you've got to give someone 2 windows to get their own players in and out. If you give them 2 windows, then you judge it. That's their team. Then you start judging results. But whether that manager gets the time at Hibs, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I'm going to wait till they unveil him and then I'll make my call, Roughie, on it.
I think if I was getting interviewed, the first question I would be asking is, can I see the list of players that you're thinking of bringing in to that sporting director? Boy, look at your list.
Can you let me see your son's scouting list here before I take it? Yeah, you're absolutely right. Premier League fixtures, Aston Villa lost to Liverpool, so suddenly it looks as if it's going to go all the way down to the wire with the English Premier League as well. Here's the overall score there, 2-1 to Liverpool. It's Leeds United against Chelsea, Leicester, Norwich, Watford against Everton, Wolves, Manchester City, and Tottenham against Arsenal is the bottom fixture, which is the Thursday as well. So I think Manchester City will play Wolves and thump them.
Oh, they thumped Newcastle, as I was saying to you yesterday. Wolves haven't got a tremendous goal scoring record at home. They are hard to beat, but I would think that if they're going to score one, I think Man City would score more than that.
Yeah, rather chillingly today, you know how people superimpose the strips on certain players. When you saw the Erling Haaland in the Manchester City strip like that, you know, somebody's obviously photoshopped it. You're thinking he could be the difference next season between winning it, the Champions League, and losing it. I think he's the key.
He's a monster. He is outstanding. You know, physical specimen, big, strong, rapid, great finisher, great left foot, can finish either foot. He's top drawer, and for them to get him for 50, I know his wages will be, I think he's on 375 grand a week.
Yeah, but is he happy?
Yeah, I think to get him for 60 million, you know, that was his buyout clause. You know, they've won a watch, but the whole of that deal will be probably 200 million quid. You know, you take all his wages and, you know, agents' fees and all that stuff into it. So, but I think he's top notch, and I think if he doesn't win it next year with him in the team, then he's may as well chucking it, Pep.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you have it. That's what football's all about. We chat about it. Hit the subscribe button if you can, please, and join the football family. You can hit the bell. You'll get all the notifications. Thank you to the thousands and thousands of people now supporting us, subscribing, and also watching the show on a daily basis from near and far. We really do appreciate it, as you can hear from Roughie and Tam. On tomorrow's show, it's quite an unusual one for Roughie. Roughie will be here on the couch with Tam Cowan hosting the show and Richard Foster joining him. So there you are, Roughie. You've
a bit of tension between you two.
Well,
and Richard.
The thing is, he's blown him out the door, and obviously Roughie's putting his foot down now as a board member here at PLZ, and I'm not even on. So. Yeah. That's what you're up against, Tam.
I always liked Roughie, but I think he's a bit of sneak.
Yeah, there's something.
You could be next.
Yeah, absolutely. Join us tomorrow at 4 o'clock if you can. From Roughie, from Tam, from myself, Peter Martin. Thanks for watching.